Hello, and welcome to Unity of Fredericksburg. My name is Andrea, and I am pleased to welcome all of you to the Unity of Fredericksburg weekly online gathering. At Unity of Fredericksburg, we are advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. We thank those of you watching on YouTube, live or later, and invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you are able to attend live, we encourage you to join us in the Zoom community room for the full Sunday morning experience, including music, prayer, and connection. Our weekly newsletter includes the Sunday service link, and you can subscribe to receive that on our website at uofva.org. By the way, at Unity of Fredericksburg, we are advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. For everyone local to Central Virginia, Unity of Fredericksburg offers a variety of fun and enriching in-person gatherings every month. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter again at uofva.org for all the details. Our message today comes from our minister, Reverend Cheryl Fair. And now here's Reverend Cheryl.
Thank you, Andrea, and welcome everyone. Welcome to everyone who is in the Zoom room with me right now, and those of you watching on YouTube, whether you're watching now or later. We appreciate you showing up and being a part of the energy that we call Unity of Fredericksburg. So our broadcast date today is Sunday, March the 23rd, and here in the US, we are fully in springtime now. So we've got little buds coming out on all the trees and bushes, and the birds are singing, and the weather's getting warmer. So I have a few quotes for you today about spring. So here's a quote from author Gary Zukav. The vernal equinox brings the promise of renewal, a cosmic invitation to begin again. Nice. Here's a quote from science journalist Deborah Bird. Spring equinox is a gateway, a moment when the earth stands in perfect equilibrium before tilting toward the light. And one more quote. This one is from Robin Williams. Spring is nature's way of saying, let's party. All right, so welcome to springtime here at Unity of Fredericksburg. In the first quarter of 2025, we have been following the Season for Nonviolence. The Season for Nonviolence is based on the life, the work, and the philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi, who led the Indian people to independence from the British Empire. And the Season for Nonviolence is based on the life, work, and philosophy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was a pivotal force in the American civil rights movement. So both of these inspirational leaders based their work on behalf of social justice on spiritual principles. So Gandhi based his approach on Hindu teachings, and Dr. King based his approach on Christian teachings, particularly the teachings of Jesus. So, and as we know, both Gandhi and King had tremendous impact on social change in their countries, and both based their work on principles of nonviolence. So, in times of great change, we can look to their example and ask ourselves, what is mine to do? What is mine to do? So for answers in this first quarter of 2025, we've had the benefit of daily practices that are published by the Gandhi Institute for the Season of Nonviolence. So those have been available through our newsletter where you could download a PDF. And for those of you who follow social media, we have had memes created by Reverend Kelly Isola following these daily practices for the season. And I encourage everyone to continue with these daily practices through the end of the Season for Nonviolence, which is April the 4th, coming soon. So this month in March, my Sunday talks have been following these daily practices, and so that we can explore what is ours to do on a personal and spiritual level, since that's what we're here to work on at Unity of Fredericksburg. So the first Sunday of the month, we talked about what is ours to do is create more love in this world. Then on March the 9th, we talked about practicing loving kindness, even with those that we have disagreements with. And today's title is Joyful Co-Creation. So let's look at both of those words, shall we? You know, I like to look at words. So what is joy, right? So true joy is a deep, lasting sense of well-being and contentment that comes from within. Now, joy is tied to our power of faith, our faith in goodness, our faith in the universe, our faith in that which we call God. Scripture emphasizes joy as a gift that we receive from God, as a source of strength, and encourages us to rejoice, have joy in all circumstances, especially when facing challenges. So maintaining a joyful mindset is something powerful that is ours to do. If you find that finding joy is a bit of a challenge for you sometimes, I do have a book to recommend that I read sometime in the last year. It's called Joyful. I'm not sure how well this is showing up on your screen. You can see a popsicle there, I think. Joyful. The author is Ingrid Fettel Lee. So if you want something that will encourage you to find more joy, create more joy, I suggest that book. All right, so we talked about joy, joyful. So what is co-creation? So when I first looked up co-creation, most of the definitions I found were business oriented. But if we look a little bit deeper to the personal and spiritual level, I found this. Co-creation is engaging in an intentional relationship in order to make something together. So as we look at the season for nonviolence daily practices from the last week, we're going to be talking about how co-creation is happening and the vital importance of seeking and affirming and sparking joy as we go about co-creating. So the daily practices for the past week, and I hope that there are some of you who have been following these so that my talking about it is just a little bit more to toss into the stew pot of what's going on with you. These practices have been compassion, disarmament, ecology, honor, choice, advocacy, and equity. So lots of interesting things going on there. So we'll start with compassion. Now, we are no strangers to compassion, are we? I want to remind us all of the definition of compassion. It literally means to suffer together. And it's defined as the feeling that arises when you are confronted with another's suffering and you feel that motivation to relieve that suffering in some way. So here's an important question for today, for what's going on in this world, for any challenging time. In challenging times, can you be compassionate and angry, or hurt, or upset at the same time? I don't have an answer for you, my friends. I merely pose the question. And this was a part of this daily practice information that can you be both compassionate and upset at the same time? Here's a suggested action step for what we can do as individuals. Write down the names of people or groups for whom it's easy for you to care about immensely. Kind of write that in one list. Maybe make a list of those you feel neutral about. And then make a list for those you actively dislike or feel contempt for. So how might you, and then take some time to go, how might you demonstrate compassion for each one of these groups? And what are you willing to give a try this week or today? So just remember, we are in this life co-creating with all of these folks, the folks that we love, the people that we just nod to and say, hey, have a good day, and the people that we actively have issues with. We are co-creating with them. So how are you showing up as a co-creator? And what can you do to find joy in each one of these relationships? Again, I don't have a whole lot of answers for you, my friends. I'm asking questions, I think important questions. All right, we're moving on to the next practice for this week, and that is disarmament. It sounds like a pretty big thing, right? Disarmament. Here's a quote from the Dalai Lama: inner disarmament, external disarmament. These must go together, you see. Peace is not just the mere absence of violence. Genuine peace must start in each individual heart. Well, here at Unity of Fredericksburg, after we finish our YouTube broadcast in our service that we hold on Zoom, we affirm this and practice this every week as we sing, "Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me," right? So this is another important reminder in this season for nonviolence to take a look at the thoughts we're holding, the words we're using. We talked earlier this month about how name calling and mudslinging are all forms of verbal violence. And remember, Jesus taught that we are to forgive without limitation, turn the other cheek, and extend love and prayer toward those we consider enemies, including those thought forms that show up that seem to be, you know, talking bad stuff. We are meant to extend love and prayer. And I'm hearing a lot out in the world, right, about we need to fight, fight, fight. My friends, here's a quote. I've been doing the reading to prepare for teaching a course in April and May called The Teachings of Jesus. Here's a quote from the author of the book, Your Hope of Glory, by Elizabeth Sand Turner. "The way of overcoming is through aligning ourselves with God, not by fighting evil. We should learn to give only good." So, your suggested action for this week: notice your own patterns, again, of thoughts, of words. Ask yourself, what would it take to begin your own personal process of disarmament, right? What kind of co-creator do you want to be? What can you do to reveal the joy in troubling circumstances? More important questions, right? All right. The next practice for this past week was ecology. And what a wonderful reminder this is that the most important partner we have in our physical life is the earth itself. The earth provides the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, and that makes up 70% of our physical bodies. The earth provides the food we eat and all the materials for shelter and everything else we need to survive and to be in a state of well-being. Here's a quote from Sidney Hill, who is the spiritual leader of the Iroquois people. "When we make decisions, we have to look to 7 generations and see how our decisions will affect those people." So imagine you are planning the world for someone 7 generations from now. What can you do today to enact that world? So what choices can you make now as a co-creator with the earth to leave a healthy legacy for future generations. And to get yourself really in the groove for that, as you go through your day, savor all the joy that you experience out in nature. So if you're out doing a little springtime trimming, a little digging, a little planting, whatever, just really take a moment to savor that joy and be in that co-creation relationship that we all have with the earth. All right. The next practice from the past week was honor. So we can honor all life on earth by demonstrating respect, kindness, and integrity in our actions and interactions, right? And we can practice honor by appreciating the value and worth of every person, even the people we don't like, right? So here's a suggested action. This comes from one of the social media memes created by Reverend Kelly Isola, a very wise woman. Today, I will stop to honor the hands that made the food I eat, the earth for its abundance, and the people who provide services for me. I will silently say to each, I honor you. So that sounds like a good one to try today, right? And to kind of keep as a part of your ongoing practices so that you can be a co-creation partner that honors all life and be an ambassador of joy for all living things, right? Yeah, excellent. All right, the next practice this past week was choice. Now, the word choice can get fired up with lots of different meanings, so we need to kind of hone in on what we're talking about today. Primarily, the practice of choice is about how we choose to show up in the world, right? What kind of co-creation partner we choose to be, what kind of energy we bring into our interactions, right? Do we have an encouraging energy? Do we have a joyful energy? So let's remember in scripture that Jesus taught the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And this emphasizes treating others with the kindness and respect you desire and treating yourself with that same kindness and respect, right? So the season for nonviolence materials in particular stress how we speak with each other. And so here we have another suggested action step, something you can do, my friends. This comes again from Reverend Kelly Isola. Today, I will be aware of jokes or remarks that show disrespect in any way. I will choose not to participate in disrespectful conversations as a demonstration of my commitment to nonviolence. So, as we choose to honor the dignity of all life, we co-create a better world for all, starting with our little corner of the world, right? And as we recognize the Christ consciousness expressing in each and every individual, we experience the joy of the connection we have with all that is, right? Very good. Now, we can take the next step into the next practice here, which is advocacy. So advocacy is all about being an ally, right? Actively supporting and advocating for marginalized groups or individuals. So this is an important suggestion prompt to spend some time in reflection. So can you recall a time in your life when someone stood up on your behalf? Spoke up for you, spoke up on behalf of you, whether this was in a personal setting or maybe in school or in a job situation. Can you remember a time like that? And can you recognize a way that you might be able to come forward on behalf of someone else. Here's a quote from Khalil Gibran. The smallest act of kindness is worth more than the greatest intention, right? Sometimes we talk about the best intentions. Well, we're talking today about, acts, things that we can actually do and say, right? So, what can you do to be the ally, the co-creator that can make a difference in someone's day, by just saying, no, this person was in line ahead of me, don't discount them, like let them go first. Or maybe there's something that you can do that would really make a difference in someone's life, that someone will remember. I remember when this one person did this for me, and wasn't it great? So just think about what you can do to show up in that way. And what can you do to as an ally to share joy? So, again, little moments of recognizing people, looking in their eyes, treating them with respect and kindness. All of these are things that we can do on an individual level. All right. The last practice for today, that's from this past week, is equity. Now, equity exists when resources or opportunities are provided based on individual needs to achieve a level playing field for all. It's different from equality, right? Equality is like everyone gets five, and equity is, well, this person needs all five, but this person only needs one. This person needs two, that, each person receives according to their need, right? So, to step into being a co-creator of equity, it is important for us to look at our lives, look around, and to ask yourself, who is missing from your immediate community? So this would be like really kind of, I remember some years ago at an Eastern Region conference, there was a session led by Reverend Michelle Senegal. And she had us do an inventory of all of the people who were kind of in our intimate circle, including family and close friends, and then kind of work your way out to like people we see on a regular basis at work, school, whatever, people we don't, and kind of look at, just kind of take tabs of sort of like, what kind of humans are you interacting with? So what kind of racial composition is there in the people that you associate with? How about gender? Men, women, non-binary? How about age? So are you spending time with younger people, older people? What is it? And just like look at all of this and ask yourself, who is missing from that in all the world of possibilities? Who's missing from your community? And ask yourself, what can I do to expand my community to include some different kind of people, right? To include that so that you have a more well-rounded way of showing up. So here is related to this is again another suggested action tip from Reverend Kelly Isola. Today, I will be mindful of ways that I see myself as better than others. When I listen to or speak with people, I will do so as equals. I will consider how I can invite new people and experiences into my life. And when we are doing this, my friends, when we are intentionally engaging with people beyond our usual circle, we are joyfully co-creating. So, as we kind of wind down towards the end of the season for nonviolence, I want you to remember, in challenging times, and some of you may be feeling that these are challenging times right now, remember to stand for something, not fight against. right? All of our spiritual guidance, this is what they say. And we have these wonderful examples that we've been talking about all through the season for nonviolence. So it was not fight, fight, fight. It was standing for something. So Gandhi and Martin Luther King accomplished tremendous things using nonviolence as their guide, not out there fighting. Okay. So they and their followers did not fight and scream obscenities. They walked when they were told to stay. They sat where they were told they did not belong. They stood in their truth when they were told to go home. They did this firmly, without violence, and with unfailing strength and faith. And with them as an example, we can do it too, or whatever it is that's showing up in our lives. We can do this as we actively work to create more love in the world, as we practice loving kindness, compassion for all living beings, and as we joyfully co-create with all living beings on earth. We can do it. I see myself doing it. I see you doing it. And we'll continue to create more love, more joy as we stand in our truth with faith, love, with wisdom, all the good stuff that is here for us every single day. So now we are going to move into a time of meditation. So I encourage you to let's begin by taking a couple of deep breaths. If you wish, you can allow outer your outer eyes to close and just feel the breath moving in and out of the body. I want you to bring your attention first to the heart space, right there in the center of the body, in the chest, where our physical heart is and where our power of love is located in the heart space. The power of love is expressed by the color pink in Unity teaching. So I want you to just see your own heart expressing, expanding, and sending wonderful rays of pink light out into the world. And each time we go into a new circumstance, just light it up with pink light. Every time we go into an interaction, particularly with those we're a little bit concerned about, just light it up with this pink light of love. All right, we're going to shift our attention now up into the skull, into the area of the skull where our power of understanding, it's kind of right near your forehead where that is located. The color for the power of understanding is gold. Golden, my friends, because that power of understanding understands the divine nature in all living beings. So I want you to sort of, from this, focusing on this area again, kind of shine the light of golden understanding into all circumstances. And when you're in a place where you don't get it, you're not sure why, you're finding yourself triggered, let's focus on this divine power of understanding, claiming that we will understand on a personal, physical, human level as we lean into our spiritual understanding. And now let's move our attention down, down, down to our seat. So where we find the powers of life. So the power of life is associated with that foundation of the body as we sit in our seat, that wonderful color of red coming forth, that expression of joy for life, joy for the goodness that there is to discover in every circumstance. So even in circumstances where you're having trouble finding the joy, lean into this power of life, which provides us with the vitality, the overcoming energy. It's right there for us. We can do this by focusing in our body. If these colors light you on fire, then use those. And I want you to just reflect on that wonderful energy, that wonderful expression of joy as we move into a time of silence together right now. And as we begin bring our focus to the here and now, we're going to close our time of meditation with an affirmation. I like to put my hand right on my heart space when I say an affirmation. So I'll say it for you once, and then you can repeat it with me a couple times at home with your microphone off. So here it is. I find and create joy with ease, and I am grateful. Say it with me, my friends. I find and create joy with ease, and I am grateful. Let's do it one more time. I find and create joy with ease, and I am grateful. So I am. I see you being joyful as you go through your days. And thank you very much for being here. And I am going to hand it back to Andrea.
Thanks for watching the weekly broadcast from Unity of Fredericksburg. Visit our website, uofva.org, to learn more about our mission of spiritual awakening and transformation, and support our ministry with your financial donation. Thanks again for watching, and